Shenanigans are encouraged. If you've got something you want to go through and do, and it pops calc, or if
the
you're
hub not
social
powerful
engineering
enough?
somebody, whatever, and it's
So I
getting you
have
a free
one
drink or
camera
something,
and the microphone.
make sure that it's all light and playful, because
that's, I think, all I can
again,
pull off. But
laws.
the microphone, I think, at some point will
A lot of people do put
flake out
their
on us,
time and
I'll
effort
switch to
into
the internal
maintaining
mic.
their talks.
So,
If they're coming here to
I
speak,
tried
we
doing
still want to give them, the
power
opportunity to go through
both on
and either engage
camera
people
there
or
and
get
back
out there and talk
Yeah.
before everyone starts just
No good.
hammering
Yeah.
the drinks and going crazy. For that, if you
So-
want to have a conversation, there is a boulevard wall you will see behind you. That is known as the Shut the Fuck Up Wall.
What's it called?
Shut the Fuck Up Wall.
What?
STFU.
Oh,
And you're
okay.
welcome to go back there and have all the conversation you want. And there will be people who will push you back there, like Archers. He will push you back there.
Gently.
Not chilly. Okay. Time to play about the Fed. Anybody see any Feds in here? Yeah. No, I reported to me. State and federal employees do come, and we do encourage them to come. We've had some awesome talks from the cyber or the CAT team, the FBI cyber attack team. We've had other people. We have other members of SecKC that are part of the digital forensics group for Johnson County and other places. So learn from them, know they are here, and know that we maintain no persistence in regards to membership. So just be aware, because cops are everywhere. If you are going to share your wonderful evenings on Twitter or social media, this is the appropriate way to go through and tag anything. We appreciate that.
Nice. Yeah, you're right.
So,
The Octothroat. Also, we got it, guys. We got it. We got the original SecKC Twitter account back.
Yeah!
There was a 16-year-old Asian woman who had it. We got it from her. I don't know how. Ask Corey. Yeah, ask Corey. I really don't know.
Pay
But
you
you
a
can still
dollar
find
for
this.
it.
So SecKC or Sec_KC, they both have someone's phone attached to it. So, but yeah.
Do we have a MySpace?
Oh boy, do we have a MySpace for you? Yeah, we have an Angel Fire. So yeah. Just a little bit of an announcement. SecDSM is here over here in this corner. No. No SecDSM, no SecIC, no. SecKC time. Anyway. Shut up. Use my words against me. If for some reason you are a student or you're transitioning to another job, if you want to get out of the state, if you are trying to get to a con, but you cannot afford it or you would like some assistance, there are organizations inside SecDSM, SecKC, whoever it is, for sponsorships and other things. SecDSM has a scholarship page up here. You can go there, you can fill it out, you can jump through all their bells and whistles, all that. Also, is Aaron here? Aaron, are you here? Yeah. No. Skeleton Crew was also doing something, but I don't know if they're still doing that stuff. But so there are other people inside SecKC who are also doing that. But check out SecDSM. They're an awesome group. They do a lot of really good things. They own all the CTFs. We hate them.
Whoa.
But they're the good guys, so we like them. But yeah, awesome. We really appreciate them asking us to put this in the slide and stuff. And it really helps out people, because there are times, when I first went to my own cons and stuff like that, I had to work through all of them. I didn't have anybody to go through and help me out. I worked 2 doubles at Circle City Con doing SecOps just to get a room. So it's nice that there are other people that are out there who can actually help you and not make you work 24 hours a day to go through and do something. So it's very cool. We do have a suggestion box back behind the Shut the Fuck Up wall. And if you'd like to make a suggestion, or if there's something else we can improve on, definitely leave a comment back there. And we've been listening to you guys. And we'd like to announce even more strippers.
Yeah, strippers!
all right!
All the strippers. Varnish, cable.
Take it all off!
Yeah, because you got to splice the wires. I get it. It's a wire joke. No, but there is, like I said, if there's something back there, if you guys want to leave a comment or suggestion, you want to tell everybody how much I suck, it's okay. Put it back there. Sign your name and your social, and we'll address it later. So right now we're going to get to the agenda. This is where you guys are. You are at SecKC 101. At 4 o'clock next month, you need to make an excuse to get out of town so that you can get to SecKC. We'll have a little bit of an intel brief with news after this. We will get into a couple of talks. But before we get into anything else, let's talk about some parties.
What party!
So, is she here? Is Trey Wolf here? She's not here yet, is she?
Not yet. I didn't see her.
Oh, goody. Okay, so I don't know exactly what's going on, but SecKC is throwing a DEF CON party. I'm sorry. SecKC is throwing a DEF CON party? Fucking hey, what the hell? Well, it sounds good. Shut up. Come on, be excited for this stuff. We need volunteers for that, so we need you guys to get with Trey Wolf, or I don't know how to say her name on Twitter, but it's JBO. Anyway. But she'll be here later on, so if you join the Slack channel and you can volunteer for that stuff, if you want to hit me up or anybody else with a yellow badge, if you want to help out with that, if you're going to be at DEF CON, if you've never helped organize something like that, this is an excellent opportunity. So with that, welcome to SecKC. We'll see all you guys this evening. You got any questions? Hit up a yellow badge. Peace.
Woo! Woo! That was okay.
No.
Better next time, but.
Thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Second time that has come in handy. Yeah, go ahead. I can look it up here for you just a minute. Give me a second here to fix something real quick.
I'm just happy to get out of the house.
Oh, yeah. It's good to get out.
I haven't made too many of these, but a colleague reminded me of it, and I thought,
It's a good time to get out. Good place to go out, too.
it's 3 miles from the house and next door to my favorite bar.
Hell yeah.
That was awesome. That looks good. 45 slides on that. I can help with that.
I want you all to appreciate how fucking cool it is that I just orchestrated the DJ booth and the news.
Woo!
Now, I need a volunteer, because Alex isn't here tonight, and my dumbass still hasn't figured out how to make slides auto-jump every 15 seconds in LibreOffice. All right. I know, the pitfalls of running Fedora. All right, those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Aaron, Sis Aaron on the Slack. You can holler at me about that DEF CON party too, by the way. If Lauren doesn't show up, I got the deets on it. Let me know. Those of you that are not familiar with, oh, you don't need that. I got a little timer running right there. Yeah. Those of you that aren't familiar with this, we do the Ignite format. Basically, I got 15 seconds to diarrhea out my mouth about whatever news story is shown up here. It's very unfiltered, somewhat unprofessional, and a little informative. So wait till like 1:15. I can't do basic math. Yeah, let's do it, man. All right, so we're starting off with breaches again. First up, we got health equity. 23,000 records affected. Data included email address, name, employer info, and in some cases, social security number. Wah, wah, wah. It is the first of many that we are going to see tonight, unfortunately. We've got Flight Radar 24, so the records taken here, that wasn't my fault. We don't know how many it was yet, but they say it's a small subset of their users. Thing is that they have 40 million users, so a small subset could still be a pretty significant amount. We got Fast Booking Think Direct, so this is a company that sells hotel booking software. It's used by more than 4,000 hotels in 100 countries. A lot of guest data stolen there. It's a mess, man, because now we got hotels that got to send out the notifications. We've got Exactus, so this was 340 million records affected, including your credit score, your political donations, your stock ownership, and the ages of your children. Who the fuck ask that information. God, that's so fucking weird. We've got an Adidas breach, so again, currently unknown number of records, but it included the encrypted password, the username, and your contact information. So again, could be worse, but at the same time, how many times are we going to fucking see this shit? About 3 more times. So, see, Typeform, it's an online service, makes it really easy for you to add some cutesy-schmutesy survey to your shit. They got hacked. Their customers include Adobe, Airbnb, Apple, BBC, Facebook, Forbes, Freshdesk, HubSpot, Indiegogo, Trello, and Uber. This one hits close to home. We had a breach with Children's Mercy Hospital. 60,000 individuals were affected. The records included patient names, medical record numbers, dates of hospital stays and procedures, diagnoses and conditions, and other clinical information. Let's see, we had Time Hop breached, so now all of those basic bitches that you see talking about what they did 3 years ago, yeah, their names, email addresses, and phone numbers are now taken. It's cool, by the way, basic bitch is a gender-neutral term. Up next, we've got Domain Factory. This is the largest domain registrar in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. The records affected include the personal name, the company name, the customer number, the address, the email, the telephone, their Domain Factory password, their date of birth, their bank name, their account number, and some other shit. There is a Tesla breach, so this one's actually kind of interesting in that it is not about your information that got stolen, but theirs. Yes, actually we're talking about a breach where it's the company's information that was stolen. It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of in the early phases right now that Elon Musk, so net neutrality is dead. Everyone pour out a little bit for your internet. Hey, but it's actually still safe to fight that in the States, so California setting that example. Fight back. Fuck the government. Let's see, we've got the trick spam botnet operators. They accidentally had a little bit of a snafu. It turns out that they ended up leaking 43.5 million unique addresses from 4.6 million unique domains. Oops. Let's see, we've got this cool privacy filter thing going on. So the University of Toronto came out with this awesome research paper showing how a very slight modification can make all of those Skynet-like devices just go fuck off and not be able to tell who you are. Awesome! Chrome is no longer allowing extensions to be installed inline, i.e. you cannot go to a third-party website to install Chrome extensions now. Hooray for security! Alright, I'll admit that that is going to be a little bit more pain in the ass for some sysadmins. That does suck, but for the greater good. Cortana is your newest best friend if you're on Red Team. We had a few vulnerabilities that came out that would allow Cortana it involves how it interacts with the operating system. In a nutshell, it can be used to execute things while the system is still locked. We've got another research paper here about seeing through walls with Wi-Fi. No, this is not the newest Tribe Called Quest album artwork. This is actually tracking movements through walls using Wi-Fi signals of, your phone that you got on you. Pretty cool and creepy stuff. We've got a bypass that was found by a third-party developer's interpretation of the code signing API for Xcode that would allow anyone to create malicious code and make it appear to be signed by Apple. Let's see, the tap lock was a pretty popular dumpster fire. Not only was it physically vulnerable, but it turns out that the thing was just broadcasting over unencrypted Bluetooth. Nah, who knew? It's physically shit, it's technically shit, it must be shit. We've got USB restricted mode questions being asked at this point, so police and investigators are currently, quote, confident that they have already defeated the security features in the beta build of their tools. So it's unfortunate. Was hoping for cool stuff. Here's how to not do a domain transfer. Break into someone's home, kick in the door when they escape to a bedroom, pistol whip him, taser him, hold a gun to his head, demand that he log into his computer and transfer the domain name doitforstate.com to another account, shoot him in the leg, and then finally get shot yourself. Let's see, we got the new kid on the block, Milo Bot. It's got anti-VM techniques, anti-sandbox techniques, anti-debugging techniques. It wraps internal parts with an encrypted resource file. It does code injection. It's process hollowing. It's the newest fucking malware. It's awesome! The Bythumb Bitcoin exchange heist happened. So what, 32 million USD worth of Bitcoin was taken from the, was like the second largest crypto exchange in South Korea. Bitcoin's now down to like $6,000. It's all coming apart. I knew it was going to be right. TLS 1.1 and 1.0 are now dead as doornails as far as payment transaction stuff goes. So thanks to PCI, Those are now gone and dead for all of your transactions. Now, if everyone else will just follow along suite, that would be great. So Firebase is this backend as an offering service that is offered from Google, and it contains this huge collection of services that mobile app devs use. Unfortunately, it's a lot like Amazon S3 in that we've got 113 gigabytes of data from a bunch of apps just out there. Start TLS everywhere. Long story short, this is Let's Encrypt for email servers. So basically, a lot of protocols start with Start TLS. Encryption is a bitch. This place aims to remedy the two there. It's great. Let's Encrypt revolutionized web. This is actually a rather sobering story. Basically, the article discusses how smart home things can be used to facilitate domestic abuse. So, for example, if an abusive significant other were saying, you can't leave, that's how you watch them. It's fucked up. We've got the Rampage vulnerability. It's affecting all Android devices produced since 2012. It's in the class of rowhammer attacks. I hope you will appreciate my beautiful MS Paint skills up there. So there was a big hullabaloo recently over this secret, quote-unquote, O365 forensics tool. A lot of forensics firms were getting denied work from it. It was an undocumented API, as it turns out. Now Microsoft is sunsetting it. Bet you we'll see that for sale in about a year. We've got an academic paper showing 3 attack vectors affecting the confidentiality and or the privacy of LTE. So we've got passive identity mapping attacks. We abuse resource allocation as a side channel for website there is a Samsung privacy blunder. So lately there have been some Samsung phones that are just randomly sending out pictures to random context without your consent, which is, pretty embarrassing if you take shitty pictures. I was going to call out Rapid7 for being awesome. Are they here yet? All right, well then, fuck those guys. I guess they paid, so they're awesome. But anyway, the National Exposure Index, it's a thing. Go look at it. I was trying to throw them a bone. Damn. So Stylish was this browser add-on that basically allowed you to beautify the internet because most people suck at CSS. And everyone's got a separate taste. But unfortunately, there has been some malicious JavaScript code injected in it since January 2017. If you use it, stop using it. You definitely missed a slide there. We're going to chill for a minute because I'm fucking sweating up here, y'all. Oh, well, okay. Anyway, so we got another academic attack that allows us to use the thermal residue that humans leave on a keyboard whenever they type. So we can recover key presses after about 30 seconds. Please appreciate this Asia pun. Let's see. Polar. So this is about the same tracking stuff. Garmin and Strava, so Polar publicizes more data per user in a more accessible way with potentially disastrous results. It's about tracking, people doing stuff. This is kind of a fucked up story. So there was a Tesla autopilot malfunction, and what ended up happening is, so the user had their hands off the wheel, which they shouldn't have, but basically he got confused and rammed them into a barrier at 70 miles an hour, which, go figure, you die. This KU hacker, I'm going to put that in air quotes because anyone that uses a keylogger isn't a fucking hacker, but this dude got probation for being a dipshit, changing his grades from F's to A's. What an asshat. We've got some new injection techniques that have been viewed out there in the wild. So this technique abuses the set Windows subclass function. It is a process that is used to install or update subclass windows that are running on the system. It's used to modify properties of Windows running in that session. Not everyone in here might know what this is, but those of you that are too young, that's a pager. And the reason that we are concerned about these is that a lot of hospitals still use these. And unfortunately, the majority of pagers don't communicate over encrypted channels. Symantec has released a pretty cool tool that will allow us to check your home router for VPN filter malware. It's bad. Either the North Koreans or the Russians did it. I fucking forget who we're hating this month, but it was one of them cats. Yeah, the Russians, sure. Got the Dixon's car phone breach, so I guess I forgot to organize this one up there. It affected 5.9 million payment card records and 1.2 million personal data records. These guys are UK. GDP Rutro. So Lucky Mouse, also known as Iron Tiger, Emissary Panda, APT-27, and Threat Group 3390 have come up with a countrywide watering hole attack. So they're not saying what country it was in, but basically they ended up targeting a data, So we've got some dude who got about as tired as I have about talking about all these Amazon S3 dumps. made a tool that will allow you to go look for them and go see what's inside of them. Some of them are, supposed to be open. Most of them aren't, though. This is actually a really interesting look into 3 of the cryptography kernels that are used in Red Star OS, which is the OS in North Korea. Oh, man, it's okay, you're not missing much. Anyway, that is a really interesting one, and it's not going to be shown up here, but we've got an issue with FileZilla being laced with malware. So basically, people complained in the forums about it. The author said it's cool. People showed evidence that it's not cool, and the author keeps saying that it's cool. So fucking install that shit. And that is the news. And Lauren is here to talk to you about a hype party.
It was going to be 2 minutes. It's going to be quicker. If you're going to Black Hat DEF CON and are staying through Sunday this year, we are officially throwing an official DEF CON SecKC party called the World. Yeah, and we just found out what day it is. It's on Saturday night, aka the best party night. Hell yeah. So we need volunteers. We will be giving away exclusive swag for those people who come and volunteer for us. We've got a couple different opportunities. We've got roadies, security, meaning you get to work the door and throw people out if they get too drunk. Goon runners, dash communications, conduct, operations, marketing, whatever your skills are, we can use them and we could really use the help. It's going to be like 2 to 3 hours time commitment on that Saturday. You can be winding down and not drink and help us. And then after your shift, you can come drink at the party. Come find me if you want to volunteer. Come join DEF CON 26/- party, whatever the room is in SecKC Slack, and I'd love to have you. If you have questions, come talk.
Back in the day, pagers used to be an open radio receiver.
Still are.
But they would just trip off when you got the right frequency tone.
Yeah.
They ate batteries like mad.
Oh yeah, I've had one. I carried one for work. I know what you're talking about. But like something cool is the Hack RF1. There's something called the Havoc, and it's a board that fits on it. But then you can start sending text or pager messages, and you can start intercepting pager messages and that kind of stuff on it. And it just listens and logs it down.
So when did you carry a pager?
Not touching anything. It's empty.
It's empty.
It's got the SecKC credit card in it. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, just broadcast that out to the world.
What?
Just broadcast that out to the world.
So what year did you carry a pager?
Early 2000s.
81.
There you go.
So you'd like have a stack of NiCad batteries over the day. Anyway,
And you had the big ones.
there was no text. It was all voice.
Oh, yeah.
It just trip off and it
Yeah, it beeps. You call in and
then
then...
you push the reset button.
Yeah.
It would just
Beep.
keep blaring whatever was on the end.
Uh-huh.
So I moved in with a girl from the wrong side of the tracks. And my mom hated calling the house number and getting her.
Uh-huh.
So I got a pager. My mother thought it was wonderful. Friday night, we're out at the movie theater. It's a James Bond, John Connery.
Yeah.
That's how old I am.
I've seen it. Saw it in theaters, actually.
He goes to some spa.
Never Say Never Again, I think.
I don't remember which one it was, but the villain's around the corner. And my pager goes off. Bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah.
Gail, call your mother, please. And brought the house down. Everybody was on the edge of their seat, when's the villain going to give him a jump?
It reminds me of Goonies. Chunk saying, well, one time I went to the theater and I went up over the balcony and I dumped over this big thing of fake puke. And I went, and everybody was puking all over the place. Yeah.
One of my first programming jobs before that had a coworker who had
hook it in and it doesn't see that it has a memory card, then it acts like a webcam. So it's a cheap webcam that's HD. The problem is that if you don't have enough, so you have to have two things. You have to have enough voltage to drive it, and then it has to be hooked into the laptop proper via USB. And so I have two. The goal was that I had a long extension cord where I have a second camera that I put up there that I get a close-up of the speaker. And then I have a second one back here that gets the screen. The problem is that I can't plug them in at the same time, or at least for whatever reason, it's picky about where I plug it in at. So, Mac OS 10.
Lost there. I said I'm lost there.
Yeah. But when it feels like it works, it works. When it feels like it's working, it works.
I have colleagues like that.
What's that?
I have colleagues like that.
Yeah.
When I feel like it.
Yeah.
So I work at CenturyLink.
CenturyLink. That's he worked for Bill's group or a different one.
For about 5 weeks I did.
For about 5 weeks, you worked with Bill's group.
Yeah.
And then
I did during the February meeting. By the March meeting, I did not.
Okay. Moved to a different part that was more lucrative.
No. That's kind of a variation on that thing. If you can't be replaced, you can't be promoted. You can't evidently even walk down the hall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's big companies. It's all about lateral movement in that place.
I don't know that that's even that is a solution.
Yeah.
I worked for a company as a consultant throughout the 90s.
Yeah.
And, these last now almost 14 years have been about having a cut and dry job while I raise kids. My daughter's 16.
Right.
I've always sort of noticed that, I don't really care about getting out of compete or anything like that. They've laid off too many of my friends. They're too close to it.
Yeah.
It happens time and time again.
Well, keep your eyes peeled, and when they start making noises, you get your resume ready.
That's why I started coming here in February.
Yeah.
I was happy to keep my nose down and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
How about you?
I work for a school district. So, Olathe Public Schools.
Yeah, we're in the eastern edge.
Oh, yeah.
We're on the east side of Riviera.
Uh-huh.
By
Ooh. This is awkward. So you get hung up talking to people, and then you have to introduce your speaker with food in your hand. How's everybody doing tonight?
Woo!
Welcome to SecKC for July 2018. You have made it more than halfway through 2018. You should be congratulated for that. So it is an exciting month because in less than a month, DEF CON is happening. How many people here are going to DEF CON this year? How many of those people are going to be first-time attendees? That's incredible. That is incredible. You guys are going to have a great time. If you are on the fence about this, you should consider going. You can do anything. You can go and you can sit and you can watch talks. That's apparently what I do. You can go and you can just get drunk all the time, all night. How many people here do that? Yeah. Or you can volunteer and work and work and work and then have people come home and say, how was vacation? That's kind of what I do. So you can really make it your own kind of con. But if you are a boss and somebody has asked you whether you will pay them to go to DEF CON, I didn't say anything about getting drunk at all. It's a very professional organization. So tonight we have all kinds of things to give away. First of all, the folks at Rapid 7 are sponsoring us tonight with the pizza and everything like that. Yes, clap for them. Or more directly clap for their money. I guess they didn't come to give anything away, but they did give us money. So congratulations to them for that. Second thing, you can go back and pick up your SecKC DEF CON badges if you didn't already do so. We love swag. It's an incredible amount of swag and stuff that I've got on my desk from SecKC at home, and it just keeps piling up. But what I really need now is a mug. So, if you want a SecKC coffee mug, if you also go back to the back of the room, you can choose from your favorite design and put in to buy said mug. It should cost hopefully no more than $12. The designs look really cool. Go pick. Democracy works here still in 2018. What else? There's so much stuff to give away, I can't even keep track. Hack 5 has given us some things to give away. And you will be getting them for free. But remember, if you're getting something for free, then maybe you're the product and not what it is you're receiving. So in return for this, you're going to have to say thank you and get your picture taken so that I can go on Twitter because you got some free crap. So if you're comfortable with that, the way it works is there are tickets at the swag table that you can go back, get one, enter, and then be present later on to win. It's super exciting. Ooh. That's a lot of stuff. But how about talks? We've got talks tonight, and they look awesome. Rogue GSM towers. Holy cow, I've been standing next to this thing this entire time. That's scary. I hope nobody calls or texts me. We're going to learn about Rogue GSM towers and all about that. And then later on, we're going to learn some ways to misuse toys, which is always a good time. So, let's get started by welcoming Rusty Shackelford to the stage to talk about Rogue GSM towers.
How y'all doing tonight?
Yeah.
My name is Rusty Shackelford. My real name is Samson Chandler. A little about me, I work for RSA Security as a senior analyst. You can follow me on Twitter or check me out on Slack at Rusty Shackelford. And tonight's topic will be software-defined radio and how to build your own Rogue GSM BTS. My objective is to give you an introduction into software-defined radio for those who know nothing about it. Do we have any ham radio guys in the crowd tonight?
Woo!
Well, that sucks because this topic's on SDR. So again, what we're going to cover is what is software-defined radio and why you should care, choosing your hardware and what software you should go with that, how to build your own GSM BTS, vulnerabilities in GSM, LTE, and possibly 5G, and then stingrays. They're used in America, legal ramifications, and rest in peace, Steve Irwin. So, disclaimer, the following information, and I'm not a lawyer, but the following information is for educational purposes only. What you choose to do with it is all on you. Again, always get permission before you go into somebody's network or cell phone or anything like that. I am not held liable. So what is software-defined radio? So from a very simplistic view, your computer gets radio signals, it interprets them or demodulates them, and you see it on your screen. Also, it can transmit radios depending on what kind of hardware and software you have. That's pretty much the most simplistic view I can think of. So why should you care about software-defined radio? Over the years, software-defined radio has gotten extremely advanced. I think it was like in the 1990s, you would need $10,000 to build a machine that would cost you probably around like $150 today. And technology has not caught up with that. Cell phones have gotten better, but the way they communicate still sucks. And then from a pen testing standpoint, you have field programmable radio frequency. So instead of sending off your board to get programmed to certain frequencies, you can do it in the field, program it to what frequencies you want, and then receive those or transmit those, whatever you want to do. Radio prototyping, and then radio frequency reverse engineering, which is probably what you all are most interested in. Because what you want to do is receive that signal, decode it, and then mess around with it and see what you can do to exploit it. And again, info6 benefits using software-defined radio. You can make scanners, tuners, demodulators, decoders. The amount of stuff you can do with software-defined radio is absolutely crazy. Everything uses pretty much radio waves or electromagnetic waves. So you can just run wild with this. And I wish that I could fit the amount of information into a 30-minute talk, but that would just be impossible. So if you have any questions after my talk, come find me. I'll answer any questions you have. So a little basics for anybody not familiar with science. Wireless communication uses electromagnetic waves, or EM. Water is also wet, if you didn't know. The frequency of the waves determines what the waves are classified as. So for radio waves, it's 3 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz. And then if you're not familiar with kilohertz, megahertz, gigahertz, you guys should know the metric system by now. And then concepts. So wavelength is the distance between two consecutive points in a wave. So you have your high points or your peaks, and then your low points or your troughs. So if you measure from peak to peak or from trough to trough, depends, that's your wavelength. And then your amplitude is the height of the origin of starting position, which a wave attains amplitude. And then you have transmitters, which transmit the signal, receivers, which receive the signal, and then transceivers, which do both. And then you have radio signal analysis. You want to identify the type of modulation being done. When I mean modulation, I always refer to encryption and decryption. So when you demodulate, you're basically decrypting. So hardware, what do you need to get started? First, you need a PC. The more CPUs, the better, and a decent amount of storage space. I would say probably at the very least 500 gigabytes, just because these radio frequencies are so big, and you, unlike a regular radio, when you turn on your radio in your car, if you turn it to 101.1, you're receiving that signal. However, with software-defined radio, you're receiving all those signals and then downloading it. And then you got to choose the right kind of hardware, which isn't very important, but the software is majorly important. Typically, they use USB 2.0. Some use USB 3.0, and then Ethernet or PCIe, and then choosing your antenna. So questions to ask yourself when looking at hardware: how much can you spend? What performance or features do you need? By performance or features, I mean bandwidth. What are you trying to do? So based on what you're trying to do or what signals you're trying to intercept, you need to look at your hardware and see if it's compatible with those signals. And I'll go over which hardware is compatible with what. And then how simple, stable do you expect your software drivers to be? and that all comes into, I'll go into more of that later. So this is kind of a cheat sheet. Does anybody remember modems? Yeah. Right? So you have full and half duplex. Full means you can transmit and receive at the same time. Half means you can only transmit or receive at the same time. With hardware, you can even have double full, so it's transmitting and receiving at the same time if you have two of them. You have ADC and DAC bits. That's kind of an engineering term. It's just the accuracy of the signal as it converts it. You have your max sample rate or bandwidth. How many frequencies can you scan and observe at the same time? Oscillator precision or frequency accuracy. Oscillator precision means if you have two software-defined radios, and they're awesome.
We have a tradition here at SecKC. If it's your first time speaking, you get a shot.
Right. That'll make it easier. So oscillator precision is basically if you have two software-defined radios and they're trying to communicate together, you want the precision to be as accurate as possible. And then frequency range is just what your software-defined radio can transmit and receive. It's very important just based on what you want to do. So here I have the devices, the capabilities. RX means receive, TX means transmit. If they have both, it means they're a transceiver that can receive and transmit, and then their ranges. Depending on your budget, depends on which one you want to go with. There was a great article about 2 or 3 months ago about RTL SDRs. They're about $20, so if you're interested in getting into something like this, that's a great cheap way to go. What I was using was called a Blade RF X40. I wanted more range and what I was wanting to do, and I'll explain more about that later. So again, budget option is your RTL SDR. Effective 7-bit ADC, DAC. It receives only. So if you're just starting out, you don't want to spend a bunch of money. It costs $20. Plug it into your computer, easy to install, and you can start receiving waves or frequencies and kind of demodulate them and look at them and see what you're looking at. And decide if this is kind of what you want to go into or dive deeper down the rabbit hole. The mid-range option is the Hack RF. Again, 8-bit ADC DAC. It's half duplex. If you want to build your own GSM BTS, you're going to need 2 of these. It doesn't have that precise of an oscillator, but it is easy to install and maybe requires 1 extra step depending on the hardware you're using as far as your computer. It says fairly cheap, but $300 to me is not cheap, so buy it your own, whatever. And then if money is not an option to you, you have the crazy high-end stuff, the USRP, 12-bit ADC, DAC, full duplex, super precise oscillator, easy to install. The Mini is around $800. The B210 is around $1,200. Again, the Blade RF X40 is really all you're going to need unless you're really going crazy with this stuff. So software. So you've chosen your hardware, now you need to figure out what kind of software you have. So your best choice will depend on OS. Linux, of course, has the best stuff. There is a good amount for Windows. Mac OS, I wouldn't recommend. Just change to Linux. And because of the intensive input and output, means you can't use virtual machines. So one of the first softwares is called GQRX. It's one of the recommended choices for Linux. Works for most major software-defined radios. The main point you kind of want to look at is it demodulates major audio waves. You just point and click, so it does AM, FM, SSB, CW. If you're into ham radio, it also has that. But the main one you probably want to download is called GNU Radio. It's an open source software. It's got a ton of features, easy to install, pretty much be installed on all OSs, but it's best if you use Linux. And the graphical input for APIs using C++ and Python. And then here's all the functionality it has available. If you remember GQRX, only had a couple. This you can do with LTE, GSM, Wi-Fi, GPS, GLONASS. They just wrote a paper on using NEMA 0183 and trying to intercept the signals to divert shipping. So you basically hack ships to go somewhere else or run into icebergs, whatever you want to do. And then for pen testers, you got your Wireshark interfaces, a bunch of cool stuff you can do with it. And installing it is super easy. You just install the packet from the package manager, you install it. You might need to install the drivers depending on your SSDR. It's very quick, very easy, kind of like your mom, and will result in an older version. And then here are some other options. If you have Linux or Windows, you can use SDR Angel, Windows SDR Sharp, HD SDR for Windows. Again, there's really not much for Mac OS. I guess they just don't like Mac. And then this is what it looks like in action. So once you pull it up, you have your megahertz right there, 7.249. You can change the frequency, decode it, kind of play with it to your heart's desire and see what you're receiving. And the possibilities you can do with this stuff is endless. Again, receiving is fine. It's when you get into transmitting that you run into some issues. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so, but for certain frequencies require licensing for transmitting. It's been said that there's groups that go around looking for rogue transmissions or pirate transmissions, but I have yet to meet anybody. The ham radio guys will get pissed if you're transmitting on a certain frequency, but I've never known anybody get in trouble for doing it, so take that with, yeah, right. All right, so building your rogue GSM BTS. So BTS stands for Base Transceiver Station. The way I got into this was because I started out with a problem. My in-laws had a lake house. They had Sprint with their cell phones, and they were complaining about cell phone reception. And they called Sprint, and they said, hey, can you build a tower out here? And Sprint, of course, was like, yeah, we'll get right on that. Because they're not going to build a tower for 10 people. So they came to me and asked me if there was anything I knew that I could do. Because computers and cell phone signals are exactly the same. And I said I'd look into it. And I figured, I saw online you could buy an extender, but that's lame. Who wants to just buy something? And I found a way to build your own. And then I found that you could attack GSM from multiple standpoints by hijacking the signal, so my in-laws never got their extender. And my whole thought process was, well, you have a Wi-Fi extender, it shouldn't be that hard to repeat the signal to the cell phone tower. And that kind of led me down a rabbit hole of looking into projects, and this is where I found this project. So what you're going to need is a Raspberry Pi 3, micro SD card, preferably 8 gigabytes or higher, 2 quad band cellular duck antennas, SMA. I use the Blade RF X40. You can use a Hack RF, but again, you'll need 2 of them because they're half duplex. And then a USB battery pack if you want. That way you can take it on the go and just cause havoc. How legal is it? I don't know. Again, I've never heard of any kind of groups kind of tracking people down and busting them. I know it was in the news that in Washington, D.C., they saw a bunch of rogue signals. Whatever happened with that, I don't know. But usually the ham radio guys are the only guys that get pissed off, so who cares? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to configure your Raspberry Pi, install dependencies, and I can provide these slides to whoever. You want to use the light one because you want to use the command line interface. You don't. I mean, you can use the GUI, but who wants to do that? And then it should be, once you have all that installed, it should be able to interact with the Blade RF. It should be showing you something like found here, where it finds the device, shows you the manufacturer and everything like that. And then you start the software-defined radio's command line interface. So you see what version it is. If you need to update the firmware, you can do that depending on what you want to do. But the main software you want to use is called Yate and Yate BTS. It's an open source software used for, I really don't know what it's exactly used for, but for this instance, we were using it for building our own GSM. Now that GitHub repository no longer works. I found this out 2 days ago. I've contacted the guy who made it, seeing if we can get another one. So if you are interested in building this, let me know and I'll figure out the best GitHub to go to. And then this is what you're pretty much going to see. You're going to build both of them, configure them. It's pretty much self-explanatory from here. You grant write permissions, can access your BTS web UI from your browser. Now, the most important part is your MCC and MNC. Your MCC is your mobile country code, and your MNC is your mobile network code. And these form together to form your MC, which is what you hear in the news all the time as an MC catcher or a stingray. And it's very hard to figure out through your carrier what your MCC and MNC is. So I was trying to do this on a cell phone using AT&T. Couldn't figure out my MCC and MNC. So I borrowed my neighbor's cell phone, called up AT&T, and asked them for their MCC and MNC numbers, which I do not recommend. The customer service lady was nice enough at first, and she put me on hold to go research it. And then she came back and was like, yeah, we can't give those out to you. I don't know why you're asking for those. So please do not do that.
You're on a watch list.
I am on a watch list. So it was my neighbor's phone.
They're on a watch list.
And then you open the file, bts.config file. Here you can enter in your radio band.
What's that?
You can enter in your MCC and MNC numbers based on what carrier you kind of want to go after. Now, if you use the regular expression .star, it will connect every GSM phone to your network. So be very careful with that, because again, if you don't have permission to access these carriers, you could wind up in some legal trouble. And then this is what your web UI should look like. So again, we have our radio band, we have our MCC, MNC, you have your max and min attenuation. Those really don't matter. It's just, I could explain those more in depth, but just leave those at 35. If you look at the identify short name, mine was called My Evil BTS, just for giggles. And then once you have it all set up, you can enable tapping for both GSM and GPRS. So what it will do will bounce every GSM packet to the loopback interface. And since there's no encryption, you can see the GSM traffic. So what can you see from that? You can see SMS, text messages. You can see who they called. It's crazy the amount. And then if people do have encryption, which is very poor with GSM, you can see all that. And then, I'm sorry if I didn't explain this. The way cell phones work is that as they've got better, the way they communicate has not within the last 20 years. And the encryption is a joke. So what cell phones do is they send out a signal, they look for the closest tower, and if that tower is provided by your carrier, then it connects to that tower. So it has no way of knowing, is this my carrier's tower or some random guy down the block? And if you have your GSM station set up or GSM BTS set up, that cell phone really has no way of knowing without a special app, or if you're trying to figure out if there's a rogue GSM around, it has no way of knowing if that's connected to the right resource. And then you can start it up. You'll see something like this. The engine is initializing and starting up on Raspberry Pi. And then I used Network Cell Lite, an app, and turned off my 4G. and I got my evil BTS to show up on there. And then after this, you can configure your BTS to do whatever you want. You can configure it to act like a proxy. You need to do a little more if you want to sniff 4G and 4G traffic or LTE. But you can sniff unencrypted GSM traffic all day long. Again, the amount of stuff you can do with software-defined radio is crazy. I know if you have ATT security on your house, their burglar alarm sounds off through radio signals. So if your neighbor is being a dick, you can send that signal at 1 o'clock in the morning every day for the next week and just have their burglar alarm go off. Other attacks you can do that I've seen recently in the news is pretty much everybody has the key fobs. So what you can do is take one of these and perform a relay attack. You elicit the response out of the key fob. It goes to your SDR and then sends it to your car, and that will unlock most cars. And there's really no way to prevent it. I saw somewhere on the news that they want you to wrap your key fob in aluminum foil, and I kind of just chuckled at that because it seems stupid. And most criminals that are doing this if they're smart enough to figure this out, they should have a job. But it is possible. And again, one of the interesting talks I saw was about hooking one of these up to a drone and then flying it over your target's house. And you can exfiltrate their data based on that drone. It'll capture that, send it to your computer, you store the information, and then you have all the time in the world to demodulate it. And then again, I just included this. GSM network is a cellular network. That's just the definition of a GSM in case you weren't familiar with it. And the signal. So again, issues. Issues with GSM, 4G or LTE. First is weak encryption. Cell phones can't distinguish between a rogue GSM and legit unless you specify it either with an app or you're testing for it. And then malicious base transceiver station. Almost all open source BTS software is vulnerable to remote command execution and various logic errors. So, long story short, they send a transceiver server process to an entity or instead of an ADR loopback, and that makes it reachable by anyone. So if you look at the slide, you have your radio, your GSM transceiver, and your BTS. You can do a sort of a man-in-the-middle attack. And then I had to update this because about 2 weeks ago, they published a paper on LTE and 4G attacks. They named it LTER. So they can identify what sites you're going to by the traffic patterns over the air. And 5G networks that are coming out may be vulnerable as well, because unless they start taking security more seriously and patch it, then this is very susceptible. The cell phone industry doesn't care at all about security. And then another security concern was diameter. I didn't read much into that, but it's a process of replacing radius in 4G and 5G networks, and I included the link into that PDF. And then law enforcement use. So I'm sure many of you have heard of the Stingray, also known as the MG catcher. It's both passive and active, and so when in active mode, the device mimics a wireless carrier's cell tower in order to force all nearby mobile phones and other cellular data devices to connect to it. And why that was an issue is law enforcement's argument was your cell phone is connecting to our cell phone tower, so the fact that it's sending information to us is not our problem. And this was in Maryland, I think. So in active mode, it can extract stored data, write cell phone protocol metadata, interception of communication, so all your calls. It can track you. I don't know what the degree of tracking is, but it's pretty darn close. Denial of service attack, radio jamming, and then in passive mode, It basically identifies legit cell sites, but law enforcement is only using active mode. And then this is a map of areas where known stingrays are being used. If you look, the great state of Missouri has local police have cell site simulators. The blue and orange means that local and state police have it. Blue means local, and orange just means state police have it. Luckily, Kansas isn't on that list yet. And then legal issues. This I just included to show you. And Smith versus Maryland was the court case I was talking about. But in September 2015, the U.S. Justice Department issued new guidelines requiring federal agents to obtain warrants before using stingray devices, except in exigent circumstances. What those exigent circumstances are, I don't know. But again, and how do you detect this? Unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on a stingray, so I had no way of verifying that. Apparently, you need to be law enforcement, have a lot of money, but that's it. So GSM, 4G, and possibly 5G are screwed unless proper security is implemented, and law enforcement can be dicks sometimes. If you have any more questions, let me know. I'll help you guys build one. I want to do a demo. Oh, yeah. So this is a demo of a 4G attack that those researchers were talking about. If you look, they've got their displays. But they got their LTE relay. It's a relay attack. If you look on the right-hand side, they have their phone. But basically, so they start their attack. The victim's cell phone, they show how it connects to it. So they put it in airplane mode, and then it connects to it. They're connected to their cell phone provider, but they have no idea at this time that it's not their cell phone provider. The extension they're using for Google is called Visor. And again, this research just came out about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they're doing a more thorough presentation on it. But again, the DNS server spoofs the request, so they try to access their Hotmail account, which I don't know why they would use that. Might as well use Yahoo. Of course. So it's basically just redirecting their DNS to a malicious website. From there, you can go hog wild with what you want to do with that person's phone. You can grab their credentials, take their pictures, do whatever. And then again, that's, if you don't know the OSI model, that's layer 2. But again, my name is Rusty Shackelford. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and it's been a pleasure.
Is there any way I can send a picture to you and have it put on the screen? I can have it on our feed, but we have to have a computer up there.
Well, can you put it on your phone?
Yeah, just send it to my Gmail.
Your Gmail?
Yeah.
And
So
I got your Gmail, but will that be on the screen or will
I can put it on the screen.
Okay. Joel Duskers.
Of course, we're starting a new meeting. All right. A couple of announcements. First, if Joel is connecting a phone to VGA. That's amazing. So, a couple of announcements. First thing, if you would like to help a student go to a cool HackerCon like DEF CON or Derby or something like that, those jerks at SecDSM have been setting up a scholarship fund of sorts. So go on to Slack in the, I think, other events channel. You can find out more information about that. We have inbound. Are you doing this thing about the party?
you're doing? He's party related? Okay. We have an announcement about the party, but we also have to give some free stuff away. How many people like free stuff? Yeah? All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of tickets, and we've got to pull one ticket out of each of these. So I need a... Now, just grabbing the actual thing is probably not good. It's in there. Okay, but at least I know what I'm grabbing. I need a volunteer. Julie. So remember, you've got to have your tickets, and you've got to listen for your number. So, let's give it up for Julie, our volunteer. All right, so first we are going to draw for the extremely thick credit card that definitely doesn't look like it contains lockpicks at all, from the Bank of Internationalia. That's cool. All right, now one of you guys put in all their tickets in one block. Sorry, you're disqualified. Do not grab more than one ticket. All right. We'll do the last 3 digits. 4, 2, 1.
Yes! No way!
It always happens.
Are you 4-2? Or you are 4-2-1. Coming forward now.
I really do think you'd be a fun guy to work for.
Wow,
I think you'd be a
congratulations.
fun guy to work for.
You have one.
I don't have anybody
Two
in
of
here.
these. Just one? We'll pull another one. We got two.
Oh,
I'm not just going to keep that. I think so. It's the right bag. Second number is 210. 210.
Does anybody see a pattern there? It's always descending powers of 2.
You must be present and listening to win.
210.
So therefore, going once, going twice, is 210. Out of luck. Okay. How about 406?
Yeah, there goes the pattern.
406.
we have a winner.
Hey! You win everything! Seriously! You win everything. That's fine. That's fine. Congratulations. All right. Uh-huh. All right. So here's our next thing, which is the USB rubber ducky or your boss's new thumb drive. Whoop. Get in there. All right. 419. 419.
Check the number!
Check your number. You would have.
That guy told me earlier he was going to cheat.
All right. So, congratulations. Don't plug that into your professor's computer. All right, next we have the Packet Squirrel, which does something or other to networks. A lawyer, not a squirrel. All right, here we go. Finally, not a 400. 104. 104. Yeah? You got one person walking the copies. Yes. All right. Oh, congratulations. We got it. All right. All right. How many do we got? We got 2 more. Next, we have the Land Turtle, which is a remote access toolkit according to the packaging. And 214. 214. All right. Yep. go. It's the white fly pineapple.
300.
Read the right ticket. Oh, this ticket. 151.
Aw.
151.
Bingo.
Hey, all right. Congratulations. Drove all the way from Des Moines. One of those jerks. All right. Yes. If you guys won something there, Rusty to do it? Rusty or Young, come take pictures. The winners have been corralled. All right, good stuff. So, congratulations to everybody that won. Congratulations to everybody that didn't win. All that stuff is poisoned and will ruin their computers when they try to use them. So, that is that. Now, Bill, this gentleman, this older gentleman, would like to come to the stage and make an announcement about the party.
Don't give him the mic, he's sorry.
Oh, I got the mic. Haha. I told you I'd get it. It was so easy, too. I didn't even have to ask. They just handed it to me. Joel.
Yes.
Hey, Joel.
That's my SecKC voice, fucker.
Whoa. Got aggressive.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I need everybody's attention. Look at me.
Oh my God.
Turn off my mic.
I don't need that. I can yell.
All right, who's going to DEF CON? I didn't get to see the hands. Let's see, who's going to DEF CON? Yeah. Did you guys hear that SecKC is throwing an official DEF CON party? Who here likes to get shitty?
Wait, what does that mean?
Come get your shitty add-ons right here. So see these tokens right here? The way SecKC is going to fund the DEF CON party is through the purchase of these shitty add-ons. We didn't name it that, they did. That's what they're called. These are the official DEF CON shitty add-ons. They will connect to any DEF CON badge. Something like that, I don't know.
They got a shitty marketing guy.
Listen, seriously though, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to get SecKC swag. It's in, you can see the token here. It's a PC board, custom made for DEF CON 26. Please, this is how we're going to sponsor the party this year. Making sure this way we don't have to have any sponsorship. We're going to have the people pay for the party, have us throw the party, whatever like that. Yeah, let's go. So they're $5 each. $5 each. And you get a DEF CON swag, SecKC, and you support our party. You can buy the tokens tomorrow on badgepirates.com, badgepirates.com. For those of you that are going to DEF CON, you can pick it up there. For those of you that are not, you can get it the next SecKC. So everyone here, this is how SecKC will support this party. We really, really, really need you guys to help support. Buy a token, badgepirates.com tomorrow. Thanks. Now I got the mic. What you got to say? It was pretty mediocre. It was. Let me try it again. Hey guys, who's going to DEF CON? Who wants to support SecKC going to DEF CON? Who hates $5? Yeah, fuck $5. Buy a shitty add-on, put it on your DEF CON badge, and go SecKC.
chairs are atrocious.
Yeah.
and Ms. Wally is really active with that no-code effort. And I dropped him an email saying, thanks for having ran the thing, hoping that he put up an archive of all the posts that were on it. So it was very interesting. And I said, I closed my email. I said, P.S. While I'm thanking you for things, thank you for BusyBox. And he replied and he said, P.S. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, the new license notwithstanding, it's the only package I have that I have an actual welcome to use.
Yeah.
Well, this might be. I misread that title at first. This might be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is everybody still feeling pretty good? A little tipsy? Cool. So here's a funny story. So I get here earlier tonight, and I'm sitting down trying to come up with this horrible material that I spit out between talks. And I look behind me, and there's a dad and his daughter, who's probably, I don't know, 10 tops. And I'm like, oh, uh-oh. So luckily, that's why I'm pulling the content badge. I looked for the nearest conduct person, Julie, and said, Julie, go talk to those folks. So unfortunately, we have 2 fewer people. But on the other hand, we're not going to break anyone's childhood or ruin their innocence tonight. So tonight we are going to learn about the Internet of Personal Massage Devices, also known as DOMs. Yeah? All right. So this is Katie and this is Shane. Shane, this is not your first time speaking, but this is Katie's first time speaking. So let's give them a big round of whoa. We're getting here early. So we have shots. Uh-oh. Do you want to say something?
And this is not only Katie's first time speaking, but it's Shane and Katie's last SecKC. I've known Shane for about 4 years now. I've known Katie for a little bit less time. I adore both of them, and I'm going to miss both of you guys terribly. So, congrats. Moving on to greener pastures. Don't forget where you came from. Jaeger's still gross.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yum, yum. All right. And where are you guys going to go to college?
I've elected to go to the University of Alabama.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right. Well, let's give Katie and Shane a big round of applause.
All right. So, as he said, we are college students. Now we were. We did this as a research project for one of our graduate level
courses.
Yes, graduate level information security courses. The idea behind this was thought of not out of malice or sexual deviant, but just out of pure curiosity. So,
So, we're going to start this off with a couple of questions, and we want you to think about this throughout our talk.
So the concept for this came from these stemming questions. Can compromising these devices lead to sexual assault if security controls are not implemented? Is the vendor liable for not securing their applications due to the loss of data? And can the information that is stored be considered protected health information? We asked multiple professionals and none of them gave us any answers, so it's whatever you think. Lawyers just like to say, it depends. So it depends. But you'll see these types of articles in the paper about these IoT devices or these smart dildos, whatever you want to call them, snooping on customers and losing data and allowing people to control them remotely. So the summary of what we'll cover, throughout this talk is listed out here. And Katie will explain a little bit.
Yeah, so basically our inspiration actually came from something that Shane saw at DEF CON. He saw the Internet of Dongs there. It's a, I guess, research project that's for internet-connected dildos, research on it to find and secure those. The next thing is, we did look into 2 different types of devices. One was the Vibes, and the vendor actually ended up fixing it right before, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months right before we started looking into it, which is great. That's great reception. And then after that, we're going to talk about our analysis of the eyeball device, and then suggested mitigations and problems caused by the holes that we found, and then a demo.
Ow!
Yeah, I'm not a speaker, so don't know.
Yeah, so the influence of the project came from the Internet of Dongs project, which was sponsored by Pornhub. There you go. And their goal is to enhance the privacy, security, and safety by educating IoT manufacturers on risks and devices that are available on the market. They also created the Dong Vulnerability Exposure, the DVE, which is synonymous with CVE, but special. And then if you're very curious, you can go check out their website. They have lots of stuff. Also, disclaimer, when we were doing our research project, we were unable to get a hold of the vendor. So all of the things we found are still in the wild. Don't use it for malice unless you really want to. I didn't tell you, and this didn't happen, so responsible disclosure, something.
Okay, and so, alright, so here we just have, you guys may know about this, there are common problems seen among IoT devices just in general. Some of those being, of course, poor access control. They're always connected to the internet for the most part and easy to access. And then the other one is, a lot of the times we'll see common application flaws. So, for example, our APIs will not have authentication enabled, or different encryption mechanisms are non-use. Okay, and so what we found here is, like many other IoT devices, our device that we analyzed, both devices, were using Bluetooth Low Energy. There you go. All the way up there. Yeah, so our device was using Bluetooth Low Energy, and this is pretty easy to snip. So you just purchased this Adafruit sniffer. It was like $30, and went from there.
Oh no, he has the mic now. Okay, so some of the improvements we found with the device we looked at first, in a paper that was published back in December of 2017, were that the following things occurred. So they had a chat application as a part of the entire application for the program for the device, and there's no encryption implemented. So when you're chatting with your significant other or random on the internet, some other random person on the internet could intercept that, and then also send vibration codes over the internet. Now, you might not think that that's necessarily bad or who would get off on that, but as we found earlier this week in a Reddit posting that I think Aaron posted to the SecKC Slack, that people get off on using TeamViewer to use your computer and click on stuff, so I guess this counts too. There are also Bluetooth low energy security mechanisms such as MAC address randomization that had not been implemented that could help prevent someone from finding these devices out in the wild and just connecting to them and having a good time. So our review of the device is that they did implement security for the XMPP encryption and use SSL pinning to prevent man in the middle, which we tried to do. And then the device was still discoverable and connectable via BLE, however, BLE session had encryption. So it was harder to see what was going on.
Yeah, surprisingly, they implemented that in like 2 months, which is pretty great. And so this is just a PCAP here. You guys can read through it, I guess, but just confirming that they did implement encryption for their chat sessions. Okay, and so now we'll go into the Eyeball, the good app. So basically, the Eyeball application, the Eyeball consists of an actual device here, and this connects to a phone here via Bluetooth, of course, and you just get an application that assists with the connection through your app store or whatever. And so it's interesting because if you actually go to the website for the Eyeball, they do advertise that it's a device where you can get medical assistance. It's a Kegel exerciser, and so we found that to be kind of questionable.
We find it both questionable that the doctor was a doctor of sexology out of some random university in China, and also odd because the app is, we'll show you here in a second, I don't know how it can qualify as medical advice. It's just me. So the first thing we looked at was the permissions of the app. One thing while going through this project is that a lot of these, well, we won't say awful applications, but a lot of applications have expansive permissions. And that's not always a bad thing, and that's something you have to keep in mind, is that sometimes the developers write these applications, they use older versions of the Android API, which requires these, well, awful settings. So it needs access to all these things just to function as a device. So like wake, lock, and vibrate, well, obviously vibrate, but I don't know how you can make, that one makes sense to me. Wake lock is because you don't want your thing turning off in the middle of a session, right? I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose too, especially if you're set it to like 10 seconds, I don't know. Write settings, that's just a basic permission for writing to a log file. I don't know why you'd want a log file, but that's okay. Bluetooth and Bluetooth admin. Bluetooth admin is needed to connect to the device, as we'll show you here, that the application will connect to the device for you, or anyone else can as well. Change Wi-Fi state, and the rest of these are just basic things that you would just see in, or most regular apps have Wi-Fi stuff. Also, if they're leaking your data to the Russian government, you'll see that too.
Okay, so this is just an overview basically of what we found. So it's possible to do a man-in-the-middle attack, session hijacking, DOS, and then there are also privacy concerns that we think are pretty significant. Basically, a lot of these do apply to BLE and the application. We'll show you. I don't know, you can read them, I suppose. But the privacy concerns that we did realize, or that we did find, because I think this is interesting, were that the application does connect, or does collect some information like your age, your childbirth date, method of childbirth, exercise progress data, and then photos. So in some cases, that's a decent amount of information to collect all combined. So we'll see. And so this is somewhat related to our demo. Basically, the eyeball, so with most BLE devices, they're always advertising. You can find them anywhere. This was us just finding the eyeball broadcasting here. So we can see, if someone were using this eyeball and you were nearby, you could find this too with just a Bluetooth app. And then, so what we did was, while the eyeball was connected to a phone, we went ahead and just took a PCAP of it, and that allowed us to find one of the vibration codes. And so, you'll see it. It's highlighted over there.
So when we use the sniffer, the NRF sniffer to find this, we won't be doing that in the part of the demo because it's a pain in the ass. So BLE advertises on 3 separate channels. The crappy device we got only listens to 1 at a time, and that's random. So your best chances of getting it right are 1 out of 3, or in my chance, 1 out of 100, because I only got it once. So I don't know how the math adds up there, but it didn't work. So it took quite a few trial and error to even get this. But I guess if you're not cheap students like us, or were, then it would be quite easy to just capture all of the signals and replay them back to the device. Oh, so some mitigations that could have been implemented are shown here. So there are different security modes of BLE that a developer can pick when designing their products. And level 1, the basic one, does not enforce any security at all, none whatsoever. Just do what you want, man in the middle, have fun. And then the security mode of 1, nothing, digital signing is not enforced. Higher modes provide the ability to support signing. And then there was no MAC address randomization, and advertisement were just out saying who they were. So like university level security right here. If you're at a school. Ask Julie.
Yeah, Julie.
Ask Julie about her hacker.
Okay, and so to use this app and actually store your data, you can use it without an account, but if you want to store your data, you're going to sign up and make an account. And so what we found, we took a PCAP and found that when a user signs in, their credentials were sent in the clear, but, of course, their password was encrypted with an MD5 hash, so I guess that's enough here. As you can see, we used a simple password, and we were able to find that.
Turn it on.
Not yet.
Come on, I'm
You're too
scanning.
soon. You just wait.
That's what she said.
Oh, Julie. Hold on there.
I get off on scanning Bluetooth.
Oh, I know you do. I do too. That's why I did this. So there's the PCAP of the login. It just is the same thing that we just went over. So they're also an API, which is fantastic because they use none of it. Like three of the methods in here is all they use. Everything else, all the other endpoints were stolen from another app, which we'll get to here in a second. They did implement this. So what it does when you log in is it'll send a GET request to this endpoint here with your password and MD5 hash and your username just in the plain, and then the language, so that's cool. And that's how you obtain your session token. The best part about the session tokens is that they don't expire, and you can reuse them as long as you want. I had one when I logged into this when we did this presentation 6 months ago. It still worked. And then I was even on a different device too, so that's the best part. What is security? So you get your session token, and then you're able to visit this web page. Just hit it with a GET request, and then that session token in the header, and then you can get. Right here we have a profile picture from the account.
This is my friend's cat. It's great.
It's your cat.
She doesn't have. So some mitigations that could have been done were simple things. One, why would you ever put your password in the arguments for a GET or POST request? I do not know. The password probably should be salted and then hashed and then salted. And then authentication information should be transmitted with TLS, probably definitely 1.2. And then the API should require authentication for all protected endpoints. Some of them did not. And then also the traffic between the device. So next we're going to go into a demonstration. Hopefully it works. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just do it live. F it.
Fuck $5.
Fuck $5. That's about how much this entire... Does anyone have a device they wanted to volunteer to? No? Okay. We'll take some questions. Okay, so here we have a VM with Android because I wasn't doing this on my phone. because the government will find out. So a couple things. Yeah, I do. I remember that. So a couple of things is we have this device here. It's kind of fantastic. We brought it with us. It doesn't look like a dong, so that should be okay.
It's a Kegel exerciser.
Why would it work? All right, there it goes. So it's on and blinking if anyone wants to take a look. But we'll look for you. So this is Julie's profile here. She said that was okay. I actually didn't ask. I just told her I was doing it.
I did not consent.
It's fine.
Do the exercises.
It's not hers. I promise.
I swear, guys, it's not.
Why would she spell her name wrong? I don't know why.
I found out they were going to do that about 10 minutes before I got here tonight.
Oh, here we go.
You know.
So the device broadcasts its name because it's very proud of itself. So if you ever see eyeball anywhere, you know that your neighbor, you probably shouldn't go knocking on the door. They're doing exercises. This is a medical device. You don't want to interrupt their training regimen. If someone's messing with it, that's not cool.
Did you connect?
I didn't bring my Faraday bag. That was a bummer. Probably a bad idea.
I'm disconnected.
Alright, I'm disconnected. I'm off.
Yeah.
I'm off.
Try again, Shane.
Oh,
I didn't do it.
I don't believe you.
Feel the tightness.
Julie would never.
What?
That's what it said up there. Feel the tightness.
Connect to me. Okay. So you cannot do this feel the tightness regimen, which is a good one.
Oh my god.
I suggest it highly. So there's the courses. So this
I'm
is if you want
uncomfortable.
to. The doctor of sexology in China suggests these. I do not. So we can right here just do the tender massage. There it is. Oh, it's going to fall off the table. I should turn it off. Okay. No, just let it fall. So with that quick demonstration, we do know that it works, and the app does control it. So the best part is that I want to control it. So I'm going to disconnect from it.
Oh my god.
I disconnected. It's gone. It's not there. I'll turn off Bluetooth to prove it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my phone, and that code that we found earlier, I'll go ahead and connect to this device from not the app, and then I will play a vibration. It's not as strong because I didn't pick the right one, but it did work, I promise you. So the other thing is, it's only half the fun though. See, if you want, we can turn on Wireshark and we can take a look at those packets. I don't want to save those. Bad stuff in there. So we can go to the app, we can log in the not Julie's profile. Because we all know Julie would definitely pick a dick butt. So we want to go into her account. Okay. So we want to change her age. Let's change it to 22.
Woo! 23.
23, okay. And then the date cannot be, I don't know what that translates to, but it doesn't make sense to me. So we're going to say yes. Oh, childbirth, okay. Vaginal or C-section? I don't know.
No!
So this is where the medical information comes into effect, and this could be considered medical information. And if I don't see how it helps with your private lessons of the courses. It didn't seem to, the assessments that I had didn't seem to change based on what I picked. So the best part is there's also games too. I guess I should show you. There's games. If you want to fish, you can fish. Because it also helps, if you squeeze it, it also sends signals back. So it not just sends signals from the device, it'll also tell you how strong your hand is. Yeah. I don't know what else it's used for besides checking your palm strength. So I think I got enough here.
That's what she said.
Oh, here we go. Set user information birthway. Okay.
Squeeze it harder.
Yeah. Nickname JFuck right here.
Great, thank
Here's
you.
your token. Age 23. Good. Now let's open it up. See it. Oh, there it is. So it just sends it right in the header. It's not even in the header, just right in the URL, just hanging out there. So even with encryption, this wouldn't really do anything. So if you see eyeball, here's my token. If anyone wants it, you can go change Julie's profile. She'll appreciate it because it's all false. I could tell you the password too, but I think you can just figure that out yourself. It's probably in the token somewhere. Okay.
It's all false.
That was fun. So that was a demonstration. Oh, maybe not. So basically what we went over is the lack of encryption, the lack of access control, and the ability to take over a device and send whatever you want to it. So say the person just wants to play the phishing game without it vibrating. Well, you can have it vibrate while they're playing the phishing game. Maybe they don't like that. So we'll go over the questions.
Yeah, so back to our initial questions.
I was this close to getting the two.
What we asked is, can compromising these devices lead to sexual assault if security controls are not implemented? And is the vendor liable for data loss because they didn't secure the applications properly? And lastly, can this information that's stored be considered health information in some ways? And so we want to know what you think.
Yes to all three.
Julie.
I'm feeling violated right now, but yes to all three.
So Julie says yes to all three. I agree. I don't know if the law does, and that's the sad part. Because I think if you showed this to any of the senators, at least in this state, they would just throw up in their mouths. I don't know. Maybe they're into this. Some of them. I don't know. It depends. It depends. As all the several lawyers I asked these questions to, they're all like, it depends. So there's that. So the future, more devices. So the Internet of Dongs has a list of DOMs, if you would believe it, that they need to be looked at. And if anyone has time to take a look at a dong, I suggest hitting their webpage. I think it's internetofdon.gs. So if you're interested. Developers should probably be taking this more seriously, because we did try to reach out, and I don't know, crickets. Or maybe they're busy building another one. I don't know, or stealing one. I guess they were trying. So I found several other devices like this, and applications that almost exactly the same, but with better resolution. So I'd assume that they were stolen. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't create it, so who knows what they were doing. And then probably a more focus on security.
I guess, but on a serious note, these things are where we're headed because they're pretty common, and so brings up some big questions, deep questions about what can be too much violation. All right, and so that's our talk.
So we wrote a paper for our course, and if anyone wants it, we'll be willing to share it. You can just reach out to either of us. And then if you have any questions about DOMs, maybe not, talk to me. I don't know. The internet is for porn, remember that. Do we have any questions, I guess?
One question. Front row.
Has this changed your personal outlook on what pen testing means?
I think it just adds to another thing that needs to be tested. I don't know what your threat model looks like in your environment, your business. If it's internet connected DOMs, I don't know how we can help you with if you can help yourself. I think that's an HR problem, and HR would be more than happy to handle this, I'm sure.
Good answer.
That's why.
More?
I have an interesting question. This is more big picture question. So let's say that somebody breaks into one of these things while it's in use. Is that sexual assault?
So,
Reasonable expectation of
I would say so, but I don't know if the laws would tell you so, because it's very difficult to prove it.
So my take on that is similar to Katie's, is that the laws are slow, and the senators are slower because they're older. Same with the House of Reps. So I don't think it'll move quick enough. However, it's also hard to prove. How do you know that your neighbor who has a bunch of antennas and stuff outside of his house is breaking into your stuff? I don't know. I mean, you can assume, but it's hard to prove in a court of law. At least from what I've been told and heard and read in the news, is that it's going to be difficult to prove your case. However, you could probably take up civil suit against the company if you feel like your information is exposed, like yourself.
I like this guy. He pivots from an actual criminal act to finding somebody to sue. Consider law school, my friend. Let's give these guys a big round of applause. Well, hey, thank you very much for coming out. We've got a little bit more time, but not a whole lot. So take that time, use it wisely, and buy drinks from the bar. Go buy some swag, because you need some more swag. If you didn't already win some, remember to go get your badges and go pick a mug. And we will see you guys next month in August right here. Have a great time.
Let's pick a mug.